All right, everybody. We got another very special guest, a returning very special guest. Everybody, welcome back to the show, Jonathan Hedrick. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, of course. It's been maybe about a year, I think.
Close to it, yeah. I think it was when I was the Spilled Blood campaign, which was running like last summer sometime.
Yeah, and then the Dream Book,
Dream Master.
Yep, because that's got a few issues out now, right? It's
issue 5 came out last year, and we're working on the artwork is going on for volume 2, and I've been writing volume 3. So more Dream Master coming down the pipe.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that
excited.
book.
He loves that book.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I gotta pick up issue 4 and 5. I haven't grabbed those yet. Awesome. But yeah, which it's all available on your website, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have links to a couple of sets on my website, and my website also has links to publishers' web stores too. So
cool. Awesome.
I don't like to just monopolize that.
Yeah,
so you can pretty much find my website's a good hub to get everything that is Jonathan Hedrick.
Nice. And Chris,
good hub to get all the comics you need.
Yeah,
you need right there.
It's all the only comics you need. And Chris was so nice to grab me when he was in Florida to grab me that signed copy.
Nice.
So yeah,
he's a pretty okay guy.
Yeah, he's all right.
I try once in a
while. So okay, we're here to talk about Brackish today.
Mm-hmm.
The Kickstarter is going on right now, which, speaking of Florida, has some ties to Florida.
Yes.
And that's where you reside, right? So maybe a little bit of a personal connection to this book.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, I really wanted to do a story that we know swamps from Swamp Thing and Man Thing.
Yeah.
But something that was grounded in reality that took place in the Florida swamps that I know. So I'm a big fan of Stephen King, and he says write what you know, and a lot of his stories take place in Maine. And I'm like, let me do a story where I can imagine myself actually being in. And that's where Brackish came from.
So it's the swamplands of Florida now.
Mm-hmm.
I did one of those swamp boat rides through the Everglades. Is that where your thought is this book is taking place?
It's like a fictional area of the Everglades, I would say, one that doesn't exist. So don't go try looking for this Brackish area. But in the story, it's close to very saltwater side of the state, and also the freshwater, a more middle side of the state, the center side. So in between is that Brackish area that these two families are fighting over for generations.
Okay.
So that's where the story comes place, and I've pulled from, a little bit of Florida legends and the culture. And, I just thought that there would be a cool comic book there. Comic books are great. There's so many genres, but we see a lot of superhero, horror, sci-fi, but we don't really see drama that much.
Right.
And I think it was time to do one for myself.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, I remember when I was down there 2-3 years ago, doing one of those hiking. Well, what you all down there consider a hiking trail?
A slight incline.
0 degrees above sea level.
So John, come up to my neck of the woods and we'll do some hiking. Yeah. But it was through one of the swamps and everything. And one of the coolest things is people don't realize the alligators they don't do shit. They just kind of sit there. And you could literally be within swiping distance where that thing was pissed off enough it could take me down. And it was just kind of chilling there, having a good time. It was a really cool scene.
It's so nonchalant down here to see a gator. Sometimes it'll just be one on the sidewalk. I'm like, there's no bodies of water around here. Where'd you come from, dude? How'd you get this far with those little stubby little legs? But these raccoons and armadillos can't make it across the street for the life of them. But it's very wild down here for sure.
And the every time I've gone there, I mean, I've always heard the story of like, or the rule, every body of water has a gator in it. So like,
take that for for it's worth. Yeah. Even like someone's swimming pool, check that thing at night, make sure nothing crawled into it. And if it's like a real body of water, like a unman made thing, natural body of water, you better be careful.
Yeah, that's the place where my parents lived down there. It's on a golf course, and like even the little puddles in the golf course.
Yeah,
you're just walking by. I was like, "Oh, look at that bastard!"
Yeah. And they'll just hang out in the same spot for days. Just like chilling. They're okay. They just do their thing.
And I would say, I mean, it always presents as sort of like suspense, I would guess, out of like other places that I've been. So.
Right.
And did you kind of build that into this story at all? I mean, I know. Yeah.
The setting is really going to have an impact in this story throughout the series. It's going to constantly be almost like its own character. Where this takes place is a very important part of the story. It wasn't like this will be a pretty background to the story. No, it makes sense and it has purpose. So I'm having a lot of fun with it because it feels home, for the most part. I mean, I don't live in a proper swamp, but it's pretty swampy.
Yeah, right.
But I grew up in those areas where it was just a hop, skip, and a jump till you were in that type of area. And I ran around with no shoes on and had some close calls swimming in those fresh, water lakes, and it's a real thing.
I'd be a little too terrified to jump in the water.
Well, when you're a kid, though, when
you don't care.
Invincible, spirit, you don't even think about it, until you get out and you're like, oh wow, there was a gator in there. What's in there?
No big deal.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I liked about it when I was reading through it was the setting of it, because we always we know about different scenes throughout the country. And we're speaking to the United States audience, but throughout the country, like different comic scenes, like there's obviously the New York comic scene,
right?
And you got the Oregon scene and this and that. Yeah. There's like a pretty good one going on down in Florida right now.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't get enough attention and is because it's been building up and kind of in the indie scene more or less. And I like to see that, we know about the book Florida Man that recently got published and people have been talking about, but other than that, there's not a whole lot that really represents that area.
Right.
And Florida Man's more of a comedic take on all that stuff.
Exactly.
Where this is more of a serious, we got something cool down here. Look at what we have. And that was my favorite part of the book, was the setting and knowing that you were taking the loving care of presenting, that scene and that area to the world through your art.
Yeah. Thank you. Because like I mentioned, we know Swamp Thing and Man Thing and, but those are supernatural type stories that are great. I'm a huge Swamp Thing fan. But I mean, there's also a very romantic side of those books, and I wanted to lean into that more than anything else.
Right. So you said more drama and romance involved. So there's a couple characters we follow in the story, right?
Right. Yeah. So we follow mostly Remy Tapper, who comes from the freshwater side of the swamp, and Jody Saltzman, whose family is been living large from the tourism on the saltwater side.
Okay.
They meet by accident. They don't know who each other are, and they fall in love, and we see that. We're going to see that over issues, how much that peels back this onion of history between the two families, and how things that were swept underneath the rug finally get pushed back into everyone's eyesight, and it just reawakens all the bad blood after years of everything being cool for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I was asked to do a pull quote for the book, and I've been trying to figure out what I'm really bad at pull quotes.
So am I.
I finished reading it, and I was just and you tell me if this is good or not.
Okay.
It felt like the Florida redneck meet cute with gators.
I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works for me. Yeah.
And that's kind of what the book was. Like, we got introduced to the characters, and then they have a chance meeting, and it ends in kind of this moment, which I thought was a really great moment to end the issue on, because you're getting to know everybody. You learn a little bit of the background. You know, there's beef or whatever, and then these two interact, and just the way they interact with their families as well. You can tell they're kind of the outsiders of their family on top of that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like different things going on here that kept me interested going into the second issue.
Thanks for pointing that out. It's a good setup. You know, that's what it is. That's issue 1 should serve as the hook for to get you to read issue 2. You know, I have a lot of one shots that people are like, oh man, I would love to have a issue 2 for that. I'm like, yeah, well, that was a one shot.
Yeah, right.
But so those folks, that are that want more, this is where you're going to get it. I started with this being maybe a 5-issue miniseries, but I'm already plotting out, volume 2 and more. So, Do
you just because you brought it up earlier, like what Stephen King says, you write what you know or where you've grown up. As you were writing it, did you compare to the other stuff like Quicksand, Dream Master, Recount, that stuff? Did you feel less of like a stress or strain to make more of the story because it's like, oh, this is something you've been involved in and it kind of came more naturally to you, or was it still the same amount of work?
Yeah, I would say it's this equivalent amount of creativity having to be put into it, just from a different lens, with like Recount, that was very grounded in reality story, but it required a lot of facts too. I was researching, like, is there a pool in the White House? And if this if this person, died, who would fall in place, in the leadership of our democracy? And I'm sure I'm on some type of FBI watch list from all those Google searches.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm on at least 4, so don't feel bad.
Yeah. Who isn't nowadays?
Yeah, I know. Come on. Yeah.
But yeah, with writing Brackish, since these are younger characters, I had to make sure it didn't come across as this, 40-year-old man writing a story. What a 40-year-old thinks that kids sound like nowadays.
Right.
So, right. That's challenging. I can pull back to how I was when I was a kid, but when I was a kid, there wasn't cell phones and social media, things like that. So that can be really challenging to make that sound organic to a modern reader, even though that's not the target audience per se. The audience is various ages that I'm hoping would pick this up, but I still wanted to make it not sound forced.
Yeah, it's understandable. That's probably the part I would struggle with too, is like, how do younger people speak now?
Right. Yeah. Dialogue is tough in almost any story. I mean, you have to make it. You have to make dialogue count. And, you don't want people to just say things just to say them. Dialogue always has to have a purpose. You can add a panel just to kind of like show something, looks cool. But the dialogue needs to have some type of meaning to the story, or you're just wasting artwork, you're wasting lettering and all the other factors.
Yeah, $1 million idea to any like young entrepreneur out there. Make a app that's a dictionary to all these things you young people say. Yeah. And I'm only in my 30s, man. I still feel like a boomer when you talk to me.
Right.
Sometimes I hear shit. I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
I have no clue.
I catch myself too. I'm like, God, I sound like Clint Eastwood in Gran Turismo.
Turn off my law.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
They had a movie about that guy and he sucked.
Right. You know what happens to that guy in the
end? I don't want to be him. That's awesome. Let's talk about the Kickstarter a little bit and what we got going on for offering. So you have a few variant covers here, right?
Oh yeah. There's the cover A by interior artist Riccardo Ficini, who knocked it out of the park. And then my wife Francesca, who's an artist, I asked her for some recommendations on artists, and she recommended Tina Valentino and Roberta Ingranata, both super talented Italian artists. I mean, all three of them are actually Italian artists.
Oh wow!
And Tina and Roberto have done fantastic things with other publishers, Zenoscope, Boom, IDW. So they really brought their A game to this, and I'm super happy with how those covers turned out.
Yeah, the C cover here, that's Roberta
Ingranata,
Ingranata. Yeah, is fantastic.
Yeah, it's like the stained glass window style.
Right, very Art Nouveau. Wow, when she showed that to me, I was blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed a theme with the colors of the book, and I think it's kind of fitting for a Swamplands, right? Is more this turquoise, bluish green style, or seafoam green, right?
Aqua blue, aqua green. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I can't take credit for the great graphics for this. That was all handled by Metal Ninja Studios, the crowdfunding publisher.
Yeah,
and they got a team of fantastic graphic designers. So I mean,
that's cool.
When I design my own Kickstarter pages, I'm literally using like the Word and Paint and the snippet tool, and just kind of like gluing things together.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of a cool segue, quick little segue. Is you teamed up with Metal Ninja Studios on this? What directed you to work with them on this one?
Well, I had already hired Joel Rodriguez, the CEO of Metal Ninja Studios, to letter it. I worked with him on Recount Preamble and Space Cadet, and we've been good friends for a long time. He's also Florida-based as well. And, I was getting to the point where I'm like, hey, man, I'm ready to launch this. Can I get the files from you and blah, blah, blah. And he said, absolutely, but let me throw something out at you real quick.
Yeah.
And he, explained to me how Metal Ninja Studios is looking to expand into the publishing arena, and they would handle the crowdfunding campaign, including the fulfillment. And I was like, wow, that's actually, that's a big deal. Without me having to pay for them to run it or pay for them to fulfillment, it's just they take out from the funds to fulfill that, and then we split what's left over, and that's fine by me.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome.
That is like so much weight off my shoulders, and every campaign I've done before this, I felt like I was carrying all the weight, with exception of sometimes your artist will be kind enough to retweet you. Oh, thanks, guy. I hope that didn't break your back. But you can tell I'm butthurt about
a little bit. All good
about that from the past. But
for the listeners right now, a testament to that is the pile of boxes behind you that you're still fulfilling Kickstarters, right? I mean, that's gotta be a lot.
My last Kickstarter's done. This is just the leftover material.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And, it's a never-ending cycle, though. It's
right.
This thing, when you're a comic book creator, you have to have shipping supplies. It just, I got good. I could probably work for the post office now and just walk in and be understand the job. I don't need to watch your training videos. I know everything. I know more than you do.
Yeah, you're telling them how to package things.
Right.
To the U.S. Postal Service, if there's a self checkout just for comic creators, just for Kickstarter people,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I got it down to where I do everything at home. They pick it up at my front door. I don't even have to leave the house anymore to ship my. I have a printer. I do everything off stamps.com. I got the fancy printer and labels. I have the supplies sent to me through Amazon, and
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can totally hermit out and just do this thing. Oh yeah, well, when Joel mentioned the thing with them kind of acting like a crowdfunding publisher, that was a no-brainer. I was like, absolutely, I could use all the help I can get, and don't have to feel so alone in it. So yeah, it's awesome. a great benefit.
That's interesting to see third parties jumping in, acting as like the fulfillment center, almost like what Zoop does, but without Zoop.
Without Zoop.
Right. Yeah, with a bigger platform like Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see more of that. I think we're going to see more people expanding and wanting to turn over crowdfunding campaigns a little faster to run more throughout the year. And even the publishers that are already in the direct market maybe pull back from there and do these crowdfunding campaigns, which we've already seen that for years with several publishers, but I think it's going to happen more frequently.
Definitely. And so, as we're going through to kind of swing back to the campaign itself, what I found interesting, so we talk about the variant covers. There's also this Swamp Life variant cover.
I think that's so cool.
That? Yeah.
So that's going to make this be like this faux leather alligator skin cover with, using the UV, embossed type layer on
like a coating over the top of it. Yep.
Yeah, and that when they told me that idea, I was so in. I'm like, yeah, that is awesome. I love, I'm a sucker for 90s cover gimmicks.
Oh hell yeah!
I'm not a sucker for like ratio variants and the millionth art germ cover or anything like that. But if you do a bullet hole in the middle of the comic book, or you can scratch blood off of it, or it feels like alligator skin, I'm all for that. Yeah, let's do something that isn't that common or maybe hasn't been done before.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's limited to 100 copies, right?
Yes. Okay. Yep. And really this campaign, you miss out on the campaign, you don't get it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's such a cool idea.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The digital for $5, which is great. It's always awesome.
Right.
And then there is a fourth. There's a fourth variant cover too, right?
That one's exclusive to Metal Ninja Studios as well.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah.
And this is a trend that's been interesting recently. I mean, for years now, but I find it interesting that the metal covers.
Yeah.
How did those do for you? Like, do you guys get a lot of people jumping on those? I gotta assume so. I'm seeing them so much.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think the metal covers have like there's a core group of collectors that are like, do you have metal covers? Do you have metal covers? But every time I go to a signing, I'm like, oh, better grab my metal covers for the those guys. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool too. The book feels nice and it's unique. So yeah, why not?
It's a metal cover, but it's still flexible.
Yeah, you can still. It's just a cover. Yeah. It's like a sheet of like a clear aluminum type thing.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it really gives the comic some weight. You can still read it. It's still regular paper pages in the center. So yeah,
well, that's really cool.
Say if my books were all put away right now, I'd find one. But yeah, they're
heavy duty.
It's almost just like a shiny chrome cover from back.
Yeah, because I'm a sucker for like shiny covers. That's
me too.
Mike likes shiny things.
The facsimile covers that come out, and I'm a sucker for that shit. No, that's awesome. I mean, we still have around 20 days left in the campaign. You're at about almost 50% right now, I think. Close to it.
I think we're about 35% right now.
Okay.
Yeah, give or take.
And I wanted to, before we kind of wrap up and do our thing at the end here, I did want to bring up one more book that we haven't talked about because it came out in between our last two conversations. You did a comic with your wife.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. Yes.
Can I Scream? Yep. That was great. Speaking of one shots, that's what this is. It's a book that Francesca and I worked on together. I wrote it. She did the interior artwork, and it was colored by Ruben Porto, who is the colorist on Dream Master, and lettered by Leo McGovern, who also lettered Spill Blood. Been working with him a lot lately. And yeah, this is a cool little, speaking of Stephen King, I call it a love letter to Stephen King's Firestarter. So if anyone's familiar with, the 80s Drew Barrymore movie or one of the 5 people that saw the Zac Efron remake, it's
no, sorry. I'm not one of them.
No one. I saw it on the plane.
Okay.
Captive audience. The story's still great. It's still there. But yeah, this is about a mother and son. They're on the run because the boy has this gift that the evil government entity want to use for their evil ways, and we see like a 24-hour day in their life of what it's like to have to hide this secret, how to have to move from town to town while juggling that single mother, angsty adolescent kid with a gift that just wants to play video games, but this thing keeps getting in the way, and causing them to live this dangerous, violent life. So it was received really well. It sold out through the publisher and through Diamond, and it's going to go to second print. We'll see that in Diamond, I think, in a couple of months with a new cover too. So
nice.
Oh, speaking of metal, well, this cover will have a metal edition when the second print comes out too. So
awesome.
Yeah,
really cool.
And just out of curiosity, how did this book come? Like, how did you and your wife decide to work together on this? Did you write this and she claimed it, or did you guys work together on the story? Or
well,
I know to everybody out there, your wife is a very talented artist who's been published before.
Yes.
It's not like she's just does it on the side. She's actually a comic creator in her own right.
Right. Yeah, she's a full-time comic book artist, we met through the comic book community, and there was a lot of conversation about people asking us, when are you guys going to work together, blah blah blah, and it's just not that easy to just for schedules to line up, and she can't work for free either. She took time to draw this. This is her losing money, because she needs to work. So it had to be like a side project, fitting pages in there when she can. But I had already had the idea a long time ago and pitched it to a publisher. But then, when we were like, okay, let's just do a one shot. I have this idea. I can make that from a mini series into a one shot, and that way we can kind of when people say, hey, you guys need to work together, we're like, we did. It's this book.
yeah, you have it, and it's completed. Yeah. Here you go.
Right, everybody leave us alone.
We did it for you.
Yeah, we did this for you. Now leave.
But yeah,
it was other stuff. Yeah,
it was really cool. It turned out really good. We're super happy with the end product, and we just did 6 weekends where we were at a different comic book store somewhere in Florida, cool. Doing signings for it. And it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So super really glad to have that experience, and hopefully we can do it again.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. That's got to be an interesting experience. And to be working together, and then it's like, oh, well, we're coworkers, so we could just go to the same comic shop whenever for signing. So.
Yeah, it really helps. It's a good sell.
Right.
Because for the longest time, we'd go to a table, and I have my things, she has her things.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that are kind of new to comics, or it's like, they're casually into comics. They'd buy something from Francesca, and then asked me to sign it too. I'm like, no, I'm not the writer. I just got done spending 30 minutes telling you the difference between us.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I'm not going to sign your steak comic book. But, it's a great book.
Yeah.
And then they have Francesca try to sign Quicksand, and she's like, no, like we just told you for the past 30 minutes.
We just explained. Yeah.
Oh, dude, me and Mike did a free comic book day years ago.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This is in the before times.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of friends of ours send us books. Well, we asked a bunch of friends of ours to send us books, and we'd hand them out to our community. And everybody's asking us to like sign them, and we're just like, we didn't make these. Like, these are just friends of ours.
Yeah,
these are. And I remember this one guy who was insistent, like, no, sign it. So there's these random copies of indie books that have our signatures on it that we had nothing to do.
Yeah. I know we had a poster that day we were signing for people, but then it was like, sign the books too. I was like, that's not my name on there. I don't care. Sign it. I was like, all right, okay.
All right, yeah.
All right, I'll sign it, but it's not worth it. It's gonna, make the book worth less.
Yeah, you better hope this doesn't become a movie or else you're gonna be pissed.
Yeah. You're gonna be real mad. No, that's awesome. What a cool experience.
Yeah.
So Brackish on Kickstarter now.
Yes.
Go check it out. Go back it. Any one of those awesome covers that you like. And Jonathan, I know we talked about your website earlier, but you want to send our listeners or viewers anywhere? In particular?
Head over to jonathanhedrickcomics.com. I have a lot of links there and information where you can find the rest of my social media platforms. And there's still a few days left before the nominations for the Ringo Awards is over.
Ooh.
So if you're a fan of Dream Master, that's the one I've really been campaigning for people to nominate. That'd be great if everyone kind of went there, and also nominate Francesca for Best Cover Artist. She did some killer covers for a book called Rebel Girls last year that really should be checked down, and maybe get a little more appreciation via the awards, ceremonies and stuff.
Yeah. So for some reason, I always thought Ringo's you had to be creator to vote for, but that's anybody can vote, or
for the first the write-in nominations, it's fans and creators.
Oh,
and then
cool.
Once they finalize the actual official nominees from that point, when when they narrow it down to like 5 people per category, or 5 titles, that's when it's creators.
Oh, cool.
Only. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very cool.
So everybody out there, I will have links to the Kickstarter and Jonathan's website down below so you can check those out. But make sure to check out Brackish and back that campaign. Yes. Jonathan, thank you so much for stopping by once again, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Absolute pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it.